There's been a little bit of disruption in the writer's tools market recently. I see a lot of questions online about which tool is the best, and having spent my time in various saddles, I thought I'd break down which I think is the best. TLDR is that if you use macOS, then Vellum plus Mac Notes is probably your best bet. Optional, Eon Timeline. If you're a Windows user, then Word and OneNote plus Atticus is probably your best bet. Optional again, Eon Timeline. Third, if you're a browser-based person, you can probably get away with just Atticus, but if the rough edges bother you, consider augmenting with Google's Docs, Keep, and Drawings. If you thought this was about Vellum, Atticus, and Scrivener, what the fuck are the other tools for? Good catch. Let's consider writing as workflow. For example, your workflow might start with an idea, then an outline or a timeline, a draft, editing, and finally production. I'll focus on Vellum, Atticus, and Scrivener here, but my workflow relies on a good notes app and a great timeline tool. Unless you can keep a word Bible in your skull, you'll need a notes app. If you're an outline rather than discovery writer, you'll benefit from a timeline plot tool like Eon Timeline. I touch on both briefly at the end. Before we get too much further, let's talk about constraints. A factor for me is whether the tool provides a perpetual or subscription license. Perpetual licenses are those you buy once for eternal access, and subscriptions are generally lower priced but carry a monthly or yearly fee. Once you stop paying a subscription service, you lose access to the tool and often the data inside it. I have a strong preference for perpetual license models, so I focused on tools supporting that. I've got a couple of callouts at the end if you want to investigate subscription-based software. My cost profile for our perpetual license tools as of November 2023 in New Zealand dollars looks like what? MacOS, New Zealand dollars 505.98. Vellum is 409.99 out of that. Mac Notes is free, and Eon Timeline is 95.99. Windows licensing profile is about $529.99. Word is $185 of that. OneNote is free, and Atticus is about $249 plus Eon Timeline's $95.99. Third is the browser-based option, New Zealand $249, Atticus. Brace for a few imperfections. If you're really into compilation pain and want to go with Scrivener, that's $99.99. I used to use this exclusively, no Word, Vellum, anything like that, and it totally can be done. It also turned me into an alcoholic because compilation is a fuck off. I don't recommend this, and we'll get into details below. Regardless of platform, you'll get some free cloud storage for things like backups. Both Apple and Microsoft offer 5 gigs free. If you're browser-based, Google's 15 gigs of free storage is pretty sweet and should allow you to scale docs across quite a few books before you hit a price barrier. Let's compare. Most authors will spend the largest chunk of their time in their writing software rather than outlining, notes, or production. Writing software needs to be frictionless, slick, and just fucking work. It shouldn't crash or be riddled with bugs. In the web version of this, I did a comparison table. I'm going to talk you through what those comparisons look like. First of all, from a platform point of view, Vellum is on macOS, Scrivener is on macOS, Windows, and iOS. Atticus runs in your browser, any browser will do, and Word is on macOS, Windows, iOS, and Android. In terms of drag and drop sections, where you can grab a section of the document and move it around at will, Vellum supports that, Scrivener supports that, Atticus supports that, but it's quite buggy. Word supports that, but not on macOS. So, sucks to be you. Smart quotes, where you put in a quote and it does all the fancy stuff to make it look cool when it's produced. Yep, Vellum does that. Scrivener does that. Can be a bit iffy on Windows in my experience. Atticus does that, quite buggy in my experience. And Word does it flawlessly. Output styles. This is where you can define a style for your book, present it, and it gets consistently applied. So you can have a romance novel looking like something, a sci-fi novel looking different with different fonts, whatever. Vellum, out of the crate, does it no problem. Scrivener does this, but with agony, like true agony, unending agony through compilation process. Atticus does this flawlessly as well. Word doesn't really do this at all. Word has styles, but that's not quite the same thing and won't give you a book output that you're hoping to have. Automatic backups. Vellum, yep, does that through macOS file versions. Scrivener, yep, does macOS file versions and Windows backup. And it also supports a backup folder, which is a really nice feature. Atticus, no. You can manually export to doc, but you'll have to be doing that frequently to get your backups out. Word, yes, it does this with macOS file versions on Mac and Windows backup with OneDrive. Global search and replace. Yep, all four of these pieces of software do that. Progress tracking. Vellum supports word count by document, chapter, and section. Scrivener is probably the most comprehensive with word count by document, chapter, and section, plus extensive reporting. Extensive reporting. It's really cool. I think this is one of Scrivener's standout features. Atticus does by word count per document, chapter, and section as well. Word does word count by document only. Understanding of sections, chapters, front matter, automated social links, back matter, that kind of stuff. All the things that are important when you're producing a book that's outside of the meat of the body of the work. Yep, we can do that inside Vellum, no problems, and it supports a neat reuse feature for front and back matter. Scrivener does this. Compilation agony is going to get you here as well. Just going to let you know, can do it, but you're going to be in the hurt locker. Atticus, yes, and it also has a nice feature to create cross-document masters, a bit like Vellum. And if we're being honest, Atticus actually had the feature before Vellum did. Word has table of contents, and that's about it. It doesn't really do any of the other stuff. Security features like encryption, authentication, stuff like that. Vellum supports this through File Vault and Touch ID on Mac platforms. Scrivener supports this the same through by platform. Atticus doesn't. There's no multi-factor authentication support in the browser version yet. Yeah, Windows supports this with device encryption, Windows Hello, that kind of stuff. So it's pretty good as well. Now onto performance. What's the thing perform like from startup speed, editor navigation, search replace, section movement, quick access to the last open docs, all those kinds of things? Like, is it slick and fast? First up, Vellum, extraordinarily fast. Scrivener, extraordinarily fast. I would say it's probably the fastest of any of them. Atticus, a little bit crunchy. It's not very fast at all. Word is all right. Can be a little bit slow on startup though, depending on the size of your document. Now, what you see is what you get. When you're editing the manuscript, is what's on the screen what you're going to see in the produced work? Is it going to help you visualize what your reader's going to get when they produce the book? Vellum, yep, the book preview is available as you type. Scrivener, not really. Formatting is visible, but you can't see your book until compilation. Atticus, yep, book preview is available as you type, just like with Vellum. Word, not really. Again, formatting is visible, but you can't really see your book until you do an extra step, which is your retailer conversion. All right, chapter point of view for perspectives, tagging for editing, that kind of stuff. Like, do you have features at a chapter level that allow you to tag and bag parts of your book for, whose point of view is speaking, and do you need to go back and rewrite this chapter? Vellum, not really. You can work around with chapter images or emoji, which is what I do, but it doesn't really do this. Scrivener, 100%, very extensive, colorized, labeled visibility. It is the gold standard for this. Atticus, not really. You can work around with chapter images and emoji like you can with Vellum, but not really. Word, straight up, no, not going to help. Inbuilt Word Bible, character sheets, notebook. In terms of Vellum, no. Scrivener, absolutely, very extensive. Scrivener documents contain everything related to that book. Really, really good feature inside Scrivener. Wish that had come to some of the other ones. Atticus, no. Very similar to Vellum in that regard. And Word, no, not there either. Reuse of back matter, Vellum, yes. Scrivener, no. You're going to be copying and pasting a lot there. Atticus, yes. Word, no. Support. What's it like to contact the company and get help for these things? Vellum, excellent. It's email based. You can send them an email. They will get back to you. They will help you with your problem. They do it very quickly. I have yet to have a email request with them that wasn't resolved within 24 hours and wasn't answered within 12. Really, really good. Scrivener, excellent. They do a forum-based support, not email support, but they've got their own operators monitoring the forums. Similar kind of turnaround. You're going to get really good support there, and you'll also get community members helping you out too. Atticus has similar support development. It's excellent. It's email-based. They will help you out. They have never not helped me out, and they are always solving my problem within 24 hours as well. Word, no, you're on your own with that one, son. You good luck trying to get hold of somebody at Microsoft to help you with your formatting problem. Final scoring factor in this is Richard's likability factor. And this is whether I like it. This is highly subjective, so take with it what you will. Vellum, absolutely lovely to use. I absolutely love using this piece of software. It's really, really nice. It feels good. It's fast, it's responsive, it's pretty. It does all the things that I really expect it should do, and it makes me feel like I'm crafting a book. Scrivener, pretty slick, but you will hate yourself at compilation time. The experience of using Scrivener day to day is a very good one, but when you get to compiling stuff, you're going to want to just iron your hands because it will hurt a little bit less than compilation. Uh, this one step is really going to put people off Scrivener. It's going to make or break the product for them. I got used to it. I got tired of having to do it. I left the product. Your mileage may vary. There are lots of people out there who don't find the compilation problematic at all, but I hate myself a little bit more every time I have to do it. Atticus, it's actually pretty good. I really like using that piece of software too. It's slick, it looks good. I like the fact that it runs in any browser or any platform. That's pretty handy. And that can, if you're a traveling writer, that can go a long way to not having to pack a whole bunch of stuff like laptops and take it with you. Word. I mean, it's Word. It's cool. It's a bit boring. It does the job. Uh, I'm not really sure it's the product that's going to make you go, yeah. Okay. So, what's it all mean? I kicked off this as an analysis after hitting the production cycle of my latest series and once again jousting with Scrivener to export the manuscript. Scrivener's Vellum export template just doesn't work, and I decided I wasn't up for this kind of heartache anymore. I spent time with Vellum, Atticus, and Scrivener for writing, editing, and production. Let me lay some nuance on your. Vellum is the just works option out of all that I've tried. 180G markets this as an ebook production suite, but it's very capable as an all round writing suite as well. There's something quite special about seeing your book output as you write it. Equipped with Word export so you can share your book with your editor, you can also re import the edits, which can cut down on your production time. I found Vellum's online documentation is the best of them all, and the company provides great by email support if you need it. The software gets regular updates. It has sped up my production cycle tremendously and has given me zero pain. Scrivener. Before there was Vellum, Scrivener was the bad boy we all relied on. I've been using this on Mac since the before times, and I was an early adopter of their Windows version. Scrivener is weirdly powerful, and if you've ever wondered if it can do something, the answer is yes. It's got some rough edges, though, most notably the compilation stage, which is a bit of a nightmare and requires a doctorate in molecular engineering to get right. There are some weirdisms across the platforms as well. For example, writing on the go using the iOS edition isn't seamless because smart quotes suck in the iOS edition, and it requires Dropbox for Cloud Sync, which is quite limiting. While the software has helped me write a lot of books, I've moved to Vellum because compilation in Scrivener is a cancer, and I believe they see how they do compilations as a differentiator, so are unlikely to change it. Support is good. They have an active forum, and I've been able to get answers from community and company reps on there in good time. The docs are comprehensive too, although wordy. It has an inbuilt notes function, which we'll touch on below. Atticus. I really want to like this. The company's been aggressively releasing updates to close the feature gap with other suites, but it's not quite there yet from a glitches point of view. It makes a great first impression with a slick UI that closely resembles what you'll get in Vellum. The rough edges get tiresome from a writing perspective, though, like smart quotes being ruinously fiddly and EM dashes causing quotation issues. The performance isn't great either, with the editor being a little sluggish. Automatic backups and two factor authentication aren't there yet either. However, it's got some neat innovations. A thing I really liked is the ability to create those master pages, like front or back matter, you can replicate across all your books. You want to change your socials? Do it once and have it replicated everywhere. As far as a replacement for Scrivener or Word goes, it's not quite there, but as a cost-effective replacement for the production side of Vellum, assuming your input copy is clean, it's a good piece of kit. The support team is great, and they are open to feature requests to add to their roadmap, and there's a robust set of online documentation. This is one to watch. If they can fix the bugs and glitches, it will kick ass. Word. I mean, this is old faithful, right? As an editor, it's fine. For ebook production, you'll need something else like Vellum or Atticus. I don't think Word is great for progress tracking, and on macOS, you can't use the navigation pane to move sections around, which is a deal breaker for me. Startup is a little slow, and it is by no means stable. This is easily the crashiest software of any in this list, macOS or Windows both. It does have a nice browser-based version, assuming you use OneDrive, but there are some odd limitations like a million character limit. I wrote a book longer than this that one time. It's unsuitable for ebook production, but it's a fine authoring suite. Coupled with Atticus, it's a great answer for Windows users. Support's a bit iffy though. While Microsoft Learn and other support articles are generally good, other formal support is dire. There are many online forums, including the Microsoft community site, to get help, but the psychic hotline can often be more accurate. And now, a note on notes. One of Scrivener's selling points is the integrated notes function. Scrivener documents can hold character bios, images, maps, and so on. The challenge here is they're not shared between Scrivener documents, so you will either need to have a separate Scrivener document just for notes, or do a lot of copy paste, or embrace the winds of change and use a note suite. Having tried both approaches, I find Scrivener a bit fiddly as a dedicated note suite and would recommend either Mac Notes on macOS or OneNote on Windows. You can get away with OneNote on macOS, but I found the Mac version of OneNote is plagued with sync issues. It's just a bit slow and buggy, and I've had situations of lost data and other fuckery that make it hard to recommend off Windows. Both Mac Notes and OneNote have credible phone versions, assuming you're on iOS for Mac Notes. I do a bit of brainstorming on the go, so this is a neat feature I use a lot. It also lets you do things like keep your notes open on an iPad while you write on your computer. This alone makes separating note taking out of Scrivener or other writing tool worthwhile. What about Eon Timeline? If you haven't played with Eon Timeline, you probably should. It's kind of like the easy to use, polite, and handsome edition of Microsoft Project. It's got some neat features that benefit authors, like Scrivener integration if you're still wanting to die on that hill, freeform brainstorming, a little like Scapple, and some really slick visualizations. I'm more of a discovery writer than an outline writer, but I still use Eon Timeline because it's so damn good. It's great for debugging your stories. For example, write the story, then retroactively use it to ensure continuity and timeline consistency. The support team here is also great, and there's a good online doc section. It works on macOS, Windows, and iOS, so you're covered no matter where you go. It's a fraction of the price of something like Project and won't make you hate yourself in quite the same way. I'm a big fan. Two subscription-based alternatives. If you don't want to chunk out a bunch of coin up front and or prefer a predictable monthly cost for your writing tools, let me suggest two options for you. For the Words is a brilliant gamified browser tool for writers. It's $4 a month and has a sweet UI, many production options, community competitions, for example, NaNoWriMo, and is just generally rad. I recommend you check this out as your first port of call. Check out the walkthrough video if you do nothing else. Ulysses was a winner of the Apple Design Award. macOS only, sadly, but it's kind of like what Scrivener should be like. Deleting the excruciating compilation phase while preserving all the other features. $5.99 a month gets you in there. Bear in mind, with both tools, you've got a bit of a lobster trap problem for your documents. And that's that. Hopefully, this has helped you decide which software is best for you based on what you need and which platform you're on. Now go out there and kick ass with your story.
Please hang up and try again.